What's up, boss? You believe that? Hold on. Do you believe that? Let's go. Doubt y'all and they ain't gonna be personal. You think I'm gonna let them naysay y'all and they ain't gonna get personal?
What is going on, Buff Nation? Happy Saturday. Happy weekend. Karume, what's going on? Noah, Stevens, hope you guys are having a wonderful Saturday so far. Let me go ahead and fix this camera a little bit. Hopefully I'm a little bit more clear. But hey, ESPN Black, good to see you guys. Would really appreciate a like and to know your comments on what I'm about to talk about, and wanted to dive in a little bit more to specific players that we've brought in or specific players that are returning and how that might impact our offense this year and how Pat Shurmur might look to utilize some of these players. And I think that one of the players that I think is not being talked about enough is our big tight end that's coming in here, Chamon Metayor, from Cincinnati. Really big-bodied guy. We can get into some of the specifics, and I'm going to go over like how you might see him utilized in some of these passing concepts to help unlock our offense, because I think he's going to be a really important weapon here. But yeah, let's go ahead and just dive in. Again, Chamon Metayor brings fantastic size, 6'5", 248 pounds. Was a redshirt sophomore this past year, so he's got a couple more years if he wants, and he really has that NFL type body that you want to see at the tight end position. And I think when you look and see how he was utilized, this is what I'm most interested in. 210 snaps in line, 34 snaps in the backfield, kind of like as that fullback, H-back, 170 snaps in the slot, and then 19 snaps out wide. So I'd imagine that a lot of those plays, or a good chunk of those plays, are where he's motioning out from in line, before the snap, to then get the defense to, adjust, change their coverage, and hopefully the offense will exploit, a favorable matchup that they find. And before I get into some of these concepts that I feel like Pat Shurmur might look to use Metayor in, just wanting to go over his receiving stats a little bit as well. Oh, this is the wrong page. That's receiving depth. Again, this past year, 30 targets, 23 receptions, 258 yards, 5 touchdowns. For reference, I think Michael Harrison had maybe somewhere between 40 and 50 targets, I think. But this guy is definitely a big red zone threat. And, I mean, he can run not only those shorter, more compact, routes for in the red zone or whatever, but this guy, also has enough speed to really stretch the field. and can run some of those routes that get downfield, stretch the defense, all of that. And I think like if I attached some different videos in the comments or in the description of my video, and one of those is a highlight play from Metayor with a big time touchdown catch against BYU. This was probably his most impressive game this year, or I guess against West Virginia. He had 2 touchdowns in both of these games, and so it's nice to see that he's had some production there already in the Big 12. But a big time body, again, mainly will either line up in line or in the slot, but also spent some time, lining up out wide, which I think is really interesting. Now, if you look at this is Pro Football Focus's grade for running routes, you'll see, hey, still could learn more or develop more in his route running, and I think that will. I think he'll continue to improve as time goes on, as he works with these coaches. Brett Bartolone is definitely going to help him with that. Pat Shurmur, when his offenses have been very successful, they've always had a big time tight end that is not only able to run block, but also be a big time threat in the passing game as well. And I think Metayor, even though he's a little bit raw, I guess, in terms of route running and even his run blocking, I think still has a lot of room for improvement. I think he has the physical tools and potential there to develop. And so, I'm very excited to see him in this offense. Now, you might wonder, hey, how might we use somebody like Chamon Metayor in this Pat Shurmur offense? And going back to my video on Sunday, I was talking about, hey, Pat Shurmur likes to use a lot of these shallow crossers. He likes to use a lot of these rub routes, right? When it's talked about play callers or offensive coordinators, they're able to scheme guys open. Like, this stuff doesn't really happen on accident. It's not just because you have the faster or the quickest guys on the field compared to the defense. Sometimes that's definitely part of it, but most of the time it's because you're drawing up plays in which you're causing confusion with the defense mid-play on whether they need to communicate on whether they need to hand off a certain guy to another defender or stick with them. And a lot of these are split-second decisions, right? Nonverbal communication. I think that's why we saw a lot of issues with our defense this past year is, when you don't have a lot of time together, you're not really able to communicate most effectively in those split-second situations. And I think Pat Shurmur can use Shaman in a way that's going to help scheme open the rest of our receivers, and sometimes get the ball to him as well. But I wanted to bring up a few different examples here. I don't have any live video, but I do have some stills to take y'all through, and I think that some of this would be fun. I'll show this here. And I did link this article on LSU defending these rub routes or pick plays in the description of my video, which I thought was really interesting. But I actually have here we go. This probably looks better. So here's kind of a general idea of kind of what this play could look like. Obviously, Auburn, it looks like they're using some wide receivers. This can be, of course, interchangeable. You'll see Pat Shurmur use these concepts with wide receivers or like a wide receiver and a tight end. But you see kind of the idea here is that you have, whether you're identifying, I think in this case, this was man coverage, but you have this route that's being ran up the field while he's initially being guarded by this boundary corner right here. But it's run in kind of an angle in which it gets in front of this slot corner, and it causes confusion between these LSU cornerbacks, and it allows this slot receiver to go around outside and get open. And it also helps out the fact that this Auburn wide receiver is a very big body. He's able to kind of run into this slot corner. The boundary corner does not they don't switch off their man, and so it allows this guy to run open. And you'll see Shaman, I think, used in this way a lot, whether that's closer to the line of scrimmage or if they bring him out wide or in like a wide slot in some circumstances where his job is going to be, running one of these rub routes or pick plays in order to kind of create contact and chaos between the defenders and himself that will then allow a wide receiver to get open. So you can kind of see like how this played out, or not. Let me see here. Whoops. Sorry, I can't zoom in any more than this, but you can see how that played out really well. Both of these LSU defenders stuck with the outside wide receiver. A lot of nice contact there, but it's an easy throw. And I also attached another video in which it came from the New York Giants a few years ago when Pat Shurmur was hired, but they were going over how Pat Shurmur used Kyle Rudolph, big time tight end for the Minnesota Vikings, in these ways a lot to kind of scheme open wide receivers. And so, yeah, this was a type of body that we were really missing last year with our offense. And I think Shaman, look for him to be used in this way as well, to help our receiving core, get some really favorable matchups here. This was another really interesting play. Another example of a pick play. Utilizing, again, it's kind of like the opposite side of the field where this outside wide receiver, again, is running this angle route. And would you call this a wheel route? I'm still learning all this, guys, but you see the slot wide receiver is able to kind of get outside and then get downfield. And again, LSU has a hard time handing this thing off. You can see the outside wide receiver does a great job of just creating chaos and contact. And sometimes that's all you need is just a little bump. And this Arkansas wide receiver just has a ton of space. See? He's really able to get open. These guys are running into each other. And it was all set up by a route that was targeted and run really well here by number 8. So you can kind of see like how that played out. Getting in for the touchdown. Is that Treylon Burks? I think that is. But I'll let this run one more time. But I love it when stuff's run like that. It's beautiful. And this is what good offensive play callers they're able to do. Now, in this article, they talk about like how to stop it. You see how there's some crossers happen from coming from this side of the field. And a way to defend this, of course, is you want to be reading it very quickly. Oh, comes out of the backfield, but you see how this linebacker is able to avoid the contact by the receiver running that pick play. And then you see the safety identify what's going on very quickly, or the boundary corner, and he's able to come up and make the play. So that's what's important about taking your deep shots, is that it spreads the defense out. Guys can't, or defenses can't play this stuff so close. And it's also why, having an offensive line that can block is definitely helpful, because when they can't block, then you can't throw downfield, and it's easy to play all this stuff very close and short. But I think that was just about it on that play, which I thought was really cool. There are a couple more that I wanted to show y'all as an example here really quick, if I can find this. So, yeah, here's another example of this where the Steelers are using this kind of concept to get Deontay Johnson open. I'm not sure who this wide receiver is over here. Maybe it's Washington. I'm not totally sure. But anyways, same concept where you have Deontay Johnson on the outside, run this little slant, and then you have the inside wide receiver, the slot wide receiver that is kind of running this out or seam. I'm not really sure, but anyways, it's done with the intention of being a pick play, to where number 20 is not able to follow Deontay Johnson because of, this big body right here, and it's able to get him open. Again, man coverage. You would want to ideally hand this off, but I mean, that's a lot easier said than done when these are literally split second decisions, right? So again, you could see a body like Shaman and Metayor being used to motion out to the slot to then run some of these routes, to then get a guy like Will Shepherd on a slant route open, a guy like Travis Hunter. Okay, of course, our slot guys now. LeJante Wester being a big 6-foot slot guy. This can just be run for anybody. Jimmy Horn, Omari Miller, Baby T.O., all those guys. But I think that this is a concept that you'll see executed better, because as much as I love Mikey Harrison, not the most physical guy, not the biggest tight end, right? This is a guy with an NFL body that can also get down the field like an NFL tight end. Still has more to develop in that area, but again, he has the physical ability to do it. And this is really going to help us, scheme guys open more. And it doesn't necessarily require the offensive line to block for a long time, which is great. All we need is just a couple seconds or so to have the primary receiver get open. So I thought that this was another really good example of this. And I think I had one more here that I can share. Again, thanks for sticking with me, y'all, and then I'll get to your thoughts. I guess this is the last one. And this is just a very simple concept that I saw on Google Images, just to provide a different reference for you guys. I guess this is hey, they're running these rub routes in youth football, right? This was very similar to the route that we saw run by Arkansas against LSU that we were just looking at, where Treylon Burks was able to get outside. But it's something very similar to this, where you see this outside wide receiver, running this more inside route to move the boundary corner, of course, over to the left. And then this guy, the slot corner who's following the slot wide receiver, runs into the chaos that's going over here. And then you see the slot wide receiver is schemed open really well. Now, if the free safety, again, he identifies this and comes over to stop this wheel route or whatever, what's great is that if you have your wide receiver on the left side of the formation beat their guy, then you got a guy wide open over the top. So, be on the lookout for the use of Metayor with this. I think that this is going to be really helpful in getting everybody open. So, hopefully this is helpful. You're going to see, I think, more tight end usage with, Pat Shurmur. I think that's one of the big things. Big differences that we'll see this year is using Metayor in both run and pass situations. In pass situations in which he is the primary target, which, is another video, I guess. But also being used in a sense as a basketball player, as a forward or a center, to set these picks to let your guards and wings get open. Kind of look at it like that. So, anyways, I guess I'll get to some of your comments here. Hopefully you guys found that somewhat helpful. And again, I'm not a film junkie. I'm not a film pro. You should not have me coaching, your Pop Warner football teams. But, hopefully, like myself, you guys learned something today. What's going on, everybody? Yeah, would appreciate those likes. That's always helpful in spreading this out. You probably noticed that my part 2 video on Tarian Carter got taken down. For some reason, I got an official copyright strike for that. Not really sure why. I've appealed it a couple times already because, guys, I use the coach's film all the time. And they're not really giving me a clear answer. So I'm not really sure if my videos are being pushed out right now through the algorithm as much as they normally are. I'm trying to get this thing fixed because it's not broadcast footage or anything like that. And the channel that ended up putting this strike against me, they just use ESPN broadcast footage of these games. So I'm so confused as to why this certain thing is happening, but would appreciate a like and some engagement. That'll help me continue to get this content spread out all over the internet for you guys. Seeing Chris C, yeah, you're bringing up a wonderful point. Tight ends would have been used more this past year if we had a blocking physical tight end as opposed to a wide receiver parading as a tight end that we had this last season. Yes, we need a physical mismatch tight end, and Metayor fits that prototype, which is awesome. And exactly, CU has a lot of weapons this year. Playbook should be wide open. Yes, totally agree, Viral Authority. Again, Metayor can be used to kind of set up all of these guys. Travis Hunter, Omari Miller, Baby T.O., Will Shepherd, everybody to eat. This is a guy, man, who is, who seeks out contact, a little bit different than a more finesse type of tight end like Mikey Harrison was. So we'll see who else we bring into the room. Savell Smalls, it looks like he's made the transition over to tight end, and hopefully he's a physical guy as well. But we need some more tight ends with this physical prototype archetype. And that's right. Prime isn't calling plays. Pat Shurmur uses the tight end in his offensive scheme. Yes, you'll see the tight end used in that H-back. You'll see him used in line. You'll see him used in line and then motion out pre-snap. You'll see him line up in the slot. You'll see him line up in line and then motion out wide. There's a lot of things that he will do to create mismatches. And a lot of this stuff, again, will be scripted out in the first half of games too. One of the weak areas of Sean Lewis, and we saw this. I was talking with Bill Carroll about this yesterday. I was doing a podcast for one of his shows. I was talking about Sean Lewis didn't script plays, and we saw the result of that, throughout the season where, man, it was just hard to get this offense going. Now, did that change too much or much at all with Pat Shurmur, with him calling the last 4 games? Not necessarily, but now we got a full off season where he can actually put in his plays and his concepts that he wants. The real OG, Omari Cooper, start at cornerback. My little bro's the best on the team. Strictly a lockdown corner, very physical. Man, I love that OG. I got high hopes for Omari Cooper. That guy's awesome. Right now, I got him as one of our top 3 cornerbacks, man. So it's going to be a great competition between him, Travis, Cormani, DJ, McKinney. Those are a really solid 4. I think Cooper can also play slot 2, so we also got Preston Hodge there. But Omari Cooper, I think, is a guy that got a lot of he got too much flack, I feel like, for what he for actually how he played. Yes, he had that slip against Stanford, but that's the field's fault, man. Everybody was getting burned. Harrison had good success. Absolutely. Can't wait to see what Metayor can do with his size, speed, and blocking ability. Yes, a little bit more well-rounded of a tight end, and I don't think we're going to tip our hand as much. Karume, yeah, hey, you hit the nail on the head right here. This year, I anticipate shorter yards per completion with more yards after the catch. Yes, 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 yes. It's all about getting the ball out quickly to a wide receiver that you have schemed open, okay? And again, look at it like basketball, right? Uh, a guy like Draymond Green, even though he can't shoot for anything, he is so important because of how big time of a screener he is, a screen setter. For guys like Steph, for guys like Klay Thompson, KD when he was there. Um, I kind of see Shaman Metayor as kind of that, like a Draymond Green, a guy setting up picks for all of these stud wide receivers. The difference is that Metayor also has some handles and a shot himself, so to speak. So he can also be schemed open and has some receiving chops, which it's great. In terms of Smalls converting, I really have no idea what to expect. I just think, hey, after 3 or 4 years with minimal success at the edge position, why not try the other position that you played? I'm hoping that he finds more success with this, but I have no idea how he will acclimate. We're just going to have to wait and see. Right now, I would say our two tight ends, well, they're our only other two scholarship tight ends on the roster, Shaman Metayor and Louis Passarello. Of course, we have a couple preferred walk-ons from last year that I can't think of their names right now, but I'm hoping we bring in another tight end or two, over this offseason. Let's like and comment from my favorite Dan Lanning lover, Dave. man, we're going to go down another rabbit hole that I don't know if I'm ready to right now. But I appreciate the love. Coach Cad, man, what's going on? Hopefully you're having a great weekend. Appreciate you. All right. Hey, are you going to do a live stream here at some point, Coach Kev? You got to let us know. Y'all go subscribe to Coach Kev. Exactly. Yeah, I'm hoping we see a better field at CU this next year. Yes, Yelverton. Thank you for that, Rudy. I appreciate that. What's up, CC? What's going on, everybody? Yeah, Cooper, again, we have a much better secondary than statistically how they performed last year. Again, when you're getting very little help from your front seven, no secondary is going to look amazing. You can't expect these guys to be sticking with guys for 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds every single play, And hey, when you have a bad front seven, which is what we had last year, it's just going to be you're going to have rough moments, but we've made improvements on the front seven. I think we will be better in that category. I think we still have ways to go before we are, considered to have an elite potential type defense. We're not there yet, but we're taking steps. King, another great point here. We have Brandon Davis Swain. He also played tight end there in West Bloomfield, Michigan. Love that. It would be kind of fun to see him used in a couple different ways. Heck, even Bishop Thomas, right? I feel like he might be better suited for the offensive side of the ball, actually. So, but Brandon Davis Swain is a guy that I think he could have a nice role here his freshman year, depending on how things go for him leading up to the season. But it's always great that he's already here early enrollee. It's very important for that as a true freshman. And man, I can't wait to see what he can do. Again, the type of athlete that we're bringing in here is just like last year was an upgrade over what we had overall in 2022. We're getting better athletes in 2024 than a lot of the guys that we brought in 2023. So continuing to level up, take those steps. That's what we're doing. Man, what's going on, everybody? A real OG, a little birdie told me that the defense is just practicing drills. They have no playbook to study leading up to the spring game. The offense already got their playbook. Well, that doesn't surprise me one bit because we are still waiting on our defensive coordinator. And hopefully that's figured out soon. It sounds like the way that I'm reading all the comments from Coach Prime is, they're interviewing guys that are at the NFL level right now. That's kind of how I take it. But I'm this is how I read it. Like some of these guys at the NFL level, if we are interviewing these guys, there may be more so position coaches that are looking for defensive coordinator opportunities. Again, an obvious example of this would be Al Harris, somebody that's coached in the NFL for quite a while, defensive backs coach for the Cowboys, right? I don't know if he can necessarily find himself in a defensive play calling role this year, but would he want to take that role, calling a defense, if it meant like coming to Colorado? I don't know. I think there's uh, a lot of positives to this job. I think that there's also some drawbacks in a sense of that. Hey, if you're not ready for the spotlight, this is not the job for you. I think it was very clear that Sean Lewis was not ready for the microscope and spotlight this past year. One nice thing about Pat Shurmur is that, I mean, this man has been through the New York media. Like this moment is not too big for him, and I think that's an underrated quality about this fit that I don't think you're going to have to worry about Pat Shurmur, dealing with the media or the spotlight in a way that's unhealthy. So, yeah, we'll see. But hey, if you're a younger, this is what I think is probably going to happen. Again, this is based on no information, just how I'm looking at it. But I could see us bringing in a position coach maybe from the NFL level who has played in the NFL during his career, but wants that shot to call a defense. But, at the same time, we don't have I don't know if a defensive coordinator is coming in here going to be able to decide on, all the roles of the staff. This is something that we've talked about. I would like to see that there would be maybe some compromise with that on certain guys that are brought in. Of course, I want to see Sal stick around. I want to see Coach Dancy stick around. But outside of that, I mean, it's a lot easier for me to say over here in my apartment that I'm not loyal to any of these coaches. And if a DC wants to go find a new one, then let's do it. But I think that's probably one of the catches that a DC is going to have coming over here, is that there's going to be a little bit more of, hey, you got to be okay, at least for this first year, with having, these certain guys as position coaches. And so we'll see if we move off of that or not. But that's kind of how I perceive the role to kind of look like right now. We go after a guy who's really hungry in the NFL to call a defense, and they might be willing to make some concessions like that for the opportunity to, have that position. But I just think that guys like probably Mike Zimmer or Ken Norton Jr., like those guys that have defensive, coordinating experience already, like they would have been hired already if they were going to be the hires, right? Like that's kind of how I read the whole situation. That's right, Dave. He blitzed from the slot and everything. Who are we talking about? Are we talking about Amari Cooper? Yeah, man. He's a good, talented cornerback. I really do feel like we got 4 really, really good cornerbacks, and then we'll see. Well, on the outside. Then, of course, on the inside, we got guys like Hodge, Jada Milner-Jones. I mean, we'll see where he ends up, if he's playing more of the star role, if he's playing more of a traditional safety role, what we do with Cameron Sowing Craig. Adam Hopkins. I don't really know what to expect from him, but maybe we see him take a jump. Radio Pastor, what's going on? Yeah, Rudy Wright. I don't really think Charles Kelly won the prime kind of spotlight either. Again, like that's an underrated thing about this is that even though we're a 4-win team, I mean, we're going to be one of the most talked about, uh, overanalyzed programs in all of college football again this year. And so you got to be ready for that type of spotlight, criticism, attention on you. Like this program is not for everybody. Like if I was coaching, I'm just knowing me. I'm a little bit more of an introvert, even though I'm very talkative. Like I like my own time. I'm a little bit less social than I was like earlier in my life. Um, I would not want this. Just putting it out there, man. It's a lot of attention. I am not built for that. I'm just saying up front, like I am not built for this. But it's very clear somebody like Pat Shurmur, man, like he's been through the ringer at the NFL level. Um, I have no issues with him handling that. Yeah, I'm hoping that we see Cormani have a breakout year. I have high expectations for him. I want to see him take that jump. I really do want to see him kind of put the pieces together. Israel Solomon, yeah, Florida natural. There's another guy, coming up that was here last year that I think you've heard the staff speak very highly of. So yeah, we got a lot of guys. I feel like we're very deep at the defensive back position, and yeah, hopefully our front seven can support them a little bit more, not hang them out to dry like they were, this past year. So, um, yeah, but I mean, I'm just very interested to see if or who we hire. Hopefully, this happens this week, a defensive coordinator, because yeah, to Real OG's point, I mean, the offense is already getting in the meetings, learning things. Our guys on the defense, they need to start learning those things as well. So salute to the Cadillac, man. I love that nickname. Okay, guys. Well, I'm gonna get out of here. Really appreciate y'all's time as well. Again, please hit that like on the way out. That would mean a lot. But overall, Shaman Metayor changes the dynamic of this offense. Look at him as a Draymond Green, somebody who is going to be able to really assist in getting our other wide receivers open, and but also has some receiving ability himself. So 5 touchdowns last year, going to be a big time red zone threat. And, I would expect him to eclipse the 250 or so yards receiving that he had this past year by a good amount. So y'all let me know your thoughts on him in the comments. Again, really appreciate you guys tuning in. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the NFL playoffs, everybody, and Sco Buffs.